the co-located events were really cool, right? So if you think about things like, EBPF Day was one I was involved in. That was really cool in terms of, we heard things like WASM, and then, EBPF is just taking a lot of storms. So we use this as, cloud native eBPF data to really, get some visibility on eBPF. So the co-located days were a lot of fun. And then also, like, obviously Cloud Native Security Day was another one I was involved in. But what the amount of response, and even Dan, I think, other Dan, did a keynote there along with his conference. I think we got the numbers. I think we're the top 4 maybe of the co-located events. It was just a lot of fun, seeing all that collaboration as well, because I said this in the opening. I was the MC for that, and I was like, look, it doesn't take one technology, it doesn't take one project, it takes a community to ensure security, right? And so it was great to hear all of these, amazing companies, projects, people share this knowledge, and the end users are all the greater for it. So from that perspective, it was a highlight. One other thing I want to mention is this talk. This talk by Julia Simon was fantastic. It was about burnout. It wasn't specific to a technical. It was very specific to the human experience. And, Kaz and I are on like the contributor experience, and it doesn't, we want people to get involved that maybe are non-contributors as well. But this, from this perspective, Julia just knocked it out of the park, because she was open about her experience with burnout, because we've all experienced that. Especially during the pandemic, it's a much more of a heavier topic, right, for us. But having like coping mechanism for this was fantastic. And last but certainly not least is my friend. I got to finally meet my friend here. Hold on one sec. Kaslin. It's the first time I've literally talked to her for 2 years. So it was really cool to meet her in the flesh. So that's pretty much it.
Some of my favorite highlights from the conference, one obviously, of course, is I got to keynote. On the first day, I was in the first day keynotes, and I got to give a little 5-minute kind of lightning talk about what the open source project is doing to enable multi-cluster Kubernetes architectures, because kind of traditionally Kubernetes has had the Kubernetes universe. Within the cluster is just its own universe, and it doesn't know or care about anything outside of the single cluster. So when you have multiple clusters, it can be pretty challenging, especially if you want to connect those in certain ways, like you want to deploy applications across them, things like that. So I talked about efforts from SIG multi-cluster and SIG networking that are working to kind of bridge that gap and bring clusters closer together. In terms of sessions, one of my favorites was there was a session where a networking engineer talked about his journey of coming into this Kubernetes space and learning the skills to work with Kubernetes, and gave this awesome perspective of looking at Kubernetes from a network engineer's perspective and how he started to learn it and all of the tools that he really liked. So that was one of my favorites. And of course, meeting Dan Pop.
Big shout out. I think Carlos Santana's here. By the way, he was one of the kind of the leaders, along with Dims, of the hallway track on Slack, which was really cool to get to hear people like, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to bogart your show. I promise you. It's just like, but it's so cool to see Carlos here. And so go ahead. Sorry, whoever's next.
I'll jump in next. And Kaslin, you illustrated all of your slides, right? That was pretty cool as well to see. I know this is more impressionistic, but one of my the highlights for me was just seeing everybody back together face to face. In some cases for a long time. I mean, I've been back to two other conferences since everything kind of shut down, and by far this was the largest. This felt the safest, and it was just great to see everyone following the protocols, but then also still being engaged in conversation. And the hallway track was just as fun as always. And yeah, no, impressionistically, like I think we're back on the path to being able to do these things face to face. Really glad though that we can find a way to do it hybrid, because I think you just end up involving so many more people when you can do it hybrid with unique advantages to each. So yeah, just really happy about that.
This was kind of my first KubeCon, attending that in person, so it was awesome. And again, like after like 1.5 years, attending a conference was a great feeling. Attending the day one keynote was awesome. A lot of good information which was shared. I did attend a couple of pre-events, like the Service Mesh Con, the PromCon, which had a lot of good content. I think the sponsor showcase, like talking to so many vendors, sponsors, and the tooling they provide, that was awesome as well. But yeah, a lot of networking after a long time. Just getting out of the virtual conference and getting an opportunity to participate in a live, in-person event. A lot of learnings. So yeah, that sums it up for me.
Wanted to piggyback on kind of what Brian and what Pop said of my highlights. It was awesome just seeing everybody back together. I was kind of curious what the conference was going to look and feel like with all of the new restrictions, but it felt remarkably safe and spaced out, and all of the good things, I guess, of being back in person and seeing everyone again. I also liked some of the talks that included more of a human element, like you were talking about as well. My favorite was actually the SolarWinds talk at Supply Chain Security Con, which was the first Day Zero event. It was just incredible because it covered everything, from a technical perspective, this awesome system they had built, but also kind of really captured what it felt like to be in the room at a company going through an incredibly public security issue with congressional testimonies and that kind of thing at the same time. So it kind of captured both, and that one was really my favorite.
I think also can give you props on that because you organized that whole thing and all of that, and that was pretty awesome to do. But also even better, we got to get a picture with Wig Store Jesus here, right? So that was pretty cool.
All right, so KubeCon for me was very exciting and inspiring, So people were there, at KubeCon to learn something new, and they want to inspire themselves about what they do, right? And then DZone is the same. We are here to educate our audience. Many cloud engineers and DevOps engineers, and I was very inspired, by meeting exciting people, people who want to learn. I'm not a developer or, engineer, but that was a great opportunity for me to understand what we need to do for our audience as a, an SEO.